Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Hysteria, Season 1. So this show aired on Peacock in October of 2024. And this was a surprise good movie. I've already reviewed the first episode sometime back in October. And I didn't know when exactly I would watch the entire series, but I knew for a fact I was finally going to get Peacock just so I can watch this series. Originally, when Peacock first launched, they gave like a free trial type thing. They don't do that no more. But I knew around like November or so, like around Thanksgiving, they was gonna do their Black Friday sale on their apps. Pretty much every like streaming app does that, except for Netflix. And so like for 99 cents, I'm like, hey, you really can't beat that. You know what I'm saying? And so like I just got this app just for that. And I forgot, oh wait, I have a couple of stuff on my like watch list I never was able to watch before. And so I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie. I watched something else. Oh, the rest of like the Chucky series and everything. I'm so pissed because they used to have Abigail on like Peacock, you know, the vampire movie and stuff. As soon as I got the app, bam, they took it off. I am pissed. Now I gotta get Prime just to watch that, and I don't want to get Prime. And so this show was really good. It was really intriguing, and I love the way they do their storytelling. It kept me on the edge of my seat. Normally, when I watch like, see, it's not even a horror movie, not a movie, but a television show. It's not even a horror television show or even a slasher. It has that appearance. And so, like, normally when I watch a horror or slasher, I'm like never scared. I get grossed out sometimes, but I'm never scared. This show had me on the edge of my seat, wondering, holy crap, what's gonna happen next in the next episode? Like it really gave you a sense of like fear and everything, and it will build up your fear like intensity, but then all of a sudden it will get resolved very quickly to be like, whew, that's a good relief. But then it's kind of like, that's kind of like a little bit of a disappointment. Just a little bit. The show was created and written by Matthew Scott Lane. And he was also the showrunner along with that of David A. Goodman. And the show has 8 episodes that are about like 50 something minutes long. And in 8 episodes, they was able to tell a pretty good, convincing story that has 3 completely different like plots and stuff. The A plot, which is centers around a group of kids in high school that are in a satanic cult, and they formed that and everything. The B plot is that of a kidnapping slash murder, and the C plot is that of this demonic devil possession type thing. The first 2 plots, they coexist with each other very well. The third one, not so much. And the reason for that is I was wondering while watching this series, why is the C plot like barely there in the show? And there's kind of a reason for that. And I'll get to that a little bit later. So far, it has not been renewed or canceled, so nobody is quite sure, you know, what's the status of the show. It's kind of just up in the air. But the creator did say that if they get a second season, they're going to continue the storylines from season 1 and flesh them out more, and also add some new stuff into season 2. If they get a second season, I hope it's longer, at least 13 to 20 episodes, and I hope they flesh out a few of the characters out a bit more. Pretty much every character is fleshed out very well, except for a few of the main ones, like really just one of the main ones, I guess you could say. No surprise there. It's the black one. Like, seriously, man. Like, ugh. That dude is kind of like, all right, give me some more with him. Like, what's the deal with him? You know what I'm saying? Is he just there? Oh, he's just there? All right, whatever. Like, I'm so annoyed by that. And so it is set in the 80s, the 1980s, because everything nowadays is set in the 80s. But this doesn't just revolve around anything in the 80s. This revolves around that of when heavy metal music was taking shape, and also the uprise and fear of a satanic cult. And so, like, this was a real thing back in the 80s. Now, this show is not based on nobody's real life experience, but it is based on real life events of this uproar that was a fear of parents, and it pretty much just like ran crazy in the 80s. Like, see, the thing is like religion played a big part in this. You know, every country is religious and there are multiple religions, but Christianity seems to be the biggest one in that of the North American continent. And for many centuries, since the white Europeans came to that of North American continent, they have brought along their religion. And back in those days of like the Puritan days and stuff, on the Salem witch trials and stuff, religion was very strongly enforced. You had to go to church every Sunday, and if you didn't, you was looked at as an outsider, and people would assume things about you. And those were back in the day when people assumed like you was a witch and stuff like that. So it was very heavily enforced for many centuries. It started to, you know, not be as forced as strongly as around like the 1800s or so, and especially the 1900s. They started to get a bit more relaxed. Still like, you know, strongly influenced and stuff, but it was to the point that where if you didn't attend Sunday service, you wouldn't be shamed or like shunned or anything like that. And so like in the 1900s, in the early 1900s and stuff, you know, it started to like lessen a bit. Around the 1950s, this is when more the teenagers became rebellious and everything. And teenagers really around the 1950s, it's almost like they ruled against the adults almost because their influence was so strong. And as the decades passed into the 60s, 70s, and then in the 80s, pretty much parents started to lose the grip on their children, and they started to lose the grip on religion. You know, you didn't see religion in schools no more, and like, you know, pretty much like people was having their own individualities and stuff, and parents felt like they no longer had a say in their child's upbringings because the children and or technically the teenagers were so rebellious and everything, that they felt like they was just losing control of like everything. You know, parents love to have control of everything, and more importantly, you know, religious people like to have control of everything and every major like thing there is in this like world and everything. I mean, heck, just look at politics and women's bodies, you know what I'm saying? And so like heavy metal was starting to like rear its head. And by the way, rock and roll was created by black people. Thank you very much. People always assume it's white people because they stole it, but it was created by us. And so, but then when they took over rock and roll, they went with like the big hair, don't care, the piercings, the tattoos, the black leather jackets. And at some point, rock and roll started to go the way of heavy metal. And when it went to the way of heavy metal, you had bands like Kiss that had the, I think the word how can I say this word? I want to say it two different ways. Satanic, I'm gonna say it that way. Satanic cult and everything. And like, I forget what the name of their thing is. I forget what it is. Like, I forget what KISS stands for. But I've already talked about that in the movie Detroit Rock City. Basically, parents felt like, oh no, this is like, the devil's work and everything. Because 80s was all about smash mouth, in your face, unapologetic, don't care, big hair, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, apparently, this is happening during the era of the satanic, like, panic era and everything, which was a real thing back in the day. By the time I got into the 90s, it was over and stuff. So apparently, this whole satanic panic arising was about pretty much like you always guess, is teenagers rebelling against the man. They're breaking out from that, like, cookie cutter lifestyle that they're forced into by their parents. They disobey their parents. They want to be a little bit wild. They want to be a little bit more free. This was happening in the 60s and stuff. It's no longer people looking proper and prim and everything like that. Now you got the rebellious stage of like the 50s and 60s and stuff. And in the 70s, the grunge and rocker and the goth stuff started happening. I can't talk tonight. And the goth stuff started happening. And then, you got into like the 80s and more of the like rocker stuff started to happen and stuff. The 80s was more like in your face, smash mouth, like unapologetic, like we don't care, you know what I'm saying? Big hair, don't care, you know what I'm saying? And so like, in the very, very, very late 60s and everything, parents was still the cookie cutter type, super religious, super conservative, stuff like that, and movies started to push the edge. Movies like The Exorcist, movies like Rosemary Baby and stuff like that. And parents are like, what the heck is this demonic stuff we're seeing? We don't want our kids and teenagers to see it, but of course they saw it anyway. And so parents started to fear, like, what if their kids and teens start like, being possessed by the devil or worshiping the devil and doing his bidding and going out doing who knows what, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. You know what I'm saying? And so like, literally parents would not let their kids listen to certain music, especially rock and roll music, heavy metal, because the metal people started to get into the whole goth thing, the big hair, coloring their faces and stuff like that. KISS was around in like the 70s and everything, right? And I told you before, the movie Detroit Rock City, it was a time during the grunge and disco was like going away, and rock and roll was coming in, and grunge was coming in, and KISS was really huge around that time. And parents did not like KISS because their name stood for satanic something, something or something. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what it was. And that was a real huge thing in like the 70s that trickled over into that of the 80s and stuff. And so around the 90s, it stopped. But I remember when I was in high school and stuff, it was probably 2000 or maybe 2001. This one boy I knew who I used to ride the bus with, he dressed as KISS for Halloween, and vice principal, she did not like that. And so I saw her drag him away as he had his face paint on and everything. And she took him to her office. And I'm assuming she made him take it off or probably called his parents. So some people were still kind of like that. So this was a real big phenomenon that swept the country and everything. And it's really shocking. Like, people's like fear led to ostracizing and stuff. Very similar to the Salem witch trials and stuff. And like, but there was some concern because there were some people, yes, engaging in this. Many people was kind of like, wow, man, this is so cool. We belong to something. And like down with like, the religious order of everything and stuff like that. And there were some serial cults out there that would go around killing people. people feared because of what happened in the 70s with Charlie Manson and stuff. And that of Ricardo Ramirez, better known as Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker and everything from the 80s. Now, the movie Maxine mentioned him, but they didn't. They showed him briefly, and you assume the Night Stalker was the main villain in the movie, but wasn't. This was a man that terrorized the 80s, stalking people, mainly women, like physical sexual assault, beating them, like all kind of nasty stuff, and killing folks and stuff. The man was crazy, but he was apprehended in the 80s. And yes, he did dabble in the whole satanic like uprise and stuff like that. So a lot of people had general fear of this, they was afraid that like their children would get influenced by this stuff. Very similar to nowadays, whenever you see like, a shooting, people always say, oh, well, it's because of video games and everything. And so they always try to find that something to blame, you know what I'm saying? And metal music was that thing to blame in the 80s. And that is what this show deals with. It deals with the hysteria, the rise and fear of people's like, worst nightmare of their young kid being influenced by something and them not being able to control it. And so this show, in my opinion, is very smartly written. It always gives you twists and turns, left and right, things you assume are going to happen. Something else actually happens, and I love that. They even do a really good flashback episode in the middle that, like, explains a whole lot more detail and stuff. And, not to, like, crap on Leslie Hecklin, who did the Acolyte for Star Wars and stuff. Because like I said before, she has created some good shows in the past. It's just she fumbled with Star Wars and stuff. But like she could have learned a lot from like the writing, direction, and pacing of like this show. Because her show had a similar formula to it, to where you saw all these present day events, but what really happened in the past. And in this show, they explain it. But when she tried to do it, she explained it, but also still try to make it mysterious, so where you really don't know what really truly happened until you get another flashback episode that finally explains it all. That's not the way to do it. This show did it perfectly, in my opinion. However, there is one side to this, one downside to this series. A lot of people are sleeping on this series, and they really shouldn't. I mean, who really subscribes to Peacock? You know what I'm saying? But not only that, but it's the C plot that I feel, was it real? Was it all in people's heads? Is it a right move to make, or was it genius and stuff? That whole C plot thing might deter people from like fully enjoying this show, or like giving it a good score, or giving it a renewal and everything. And so I'm afraid that that is something that should have been planned out a bit more, because as much as I would like to see this get a second season, in all honesty, it really doesn't. Like, it kind of just ended in a way that where, because the creator even said that, they left it ambiguous to where, it could stand on its own and end, or it can continue into the next season. And it all has to do with like that C plot. That C plot, man, like, I just don't know, because I feel like, oh, you tricked me and everything, or did you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure if it was real or not. I don't know whether to be angry or not. It's almost like, oh, it's all a dream type scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that crap. Like, explain it. But honestly, I could do without the C plot. Plot A and B are so well written that they coincide with each other very beautifully and everything, to where you just don't need that C plot. But the C plot is kind of like a metaphor to show the fear that the parents had back in the real 1980s. Its only problem is it really tricks the mind of the audience and makes you think, was it real or was it all in their head? But then it's like, oh, so it was all in their head. But then, next thing you know, here he comes again, the devil, and everything. And it's like, wait, is it real? Like, don't play with us like that, man. Like, just give it out to us and stuff. You know what I'm saying? But in a way, that is kind of genius. And to better fully understand what the heck I'm talking about when I say a C plot, let me just get into the show. So. This show stars that of three people who are in a rock band. And the thing is, they are outsiders in school. You have Dylan, who is played by, what's the actor's name? MJ Anthony, he plays Dylan. And so then you have he's the main character, the one who started this all, right? He wanted to impress a girl that is out of his league. She's drop dead gorgeous. She's really hot. She's very popular, and he doesn't stand a chance of like dating her. But he finds out something interesting about her. He finds out that when he gets all like pissy and upset, he decides to change his look and look more goth. This causes her to notice him. And so when that happens, he realizes, hey, I got a band. She likes bands. She likes metal music. She likes punk rocker goth. I can keep playing up this angle. And apparently, after doing this, he realizes that she's into this whole devil worshipping satanic cult and everything. So he realizes, okay, I'm not into that kind of stuff, but if she's into that kind of stuff, hey, I could fake it just like a woman fakes it in bed. So he convinces his two friends who's in his band, hey, let's start a why can't I say that word? I keep getting it confused in my head. My mouth wants to say one thing, but my head wants to say another. Satanic cult. And they're not for that, and they just want to make music, but he's all like, we need an image. We need something that's going to stick in people's head and make us, noticeable and everything. So they go along with it until they realize he's only doing it to get laid. And so there's a lot of interesting stuff with him. He's just a dopey kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? And so he's not evil whatsoever, but he hates being crapped on by people. And his mom is the overprotective Christian mom and stuff, a very religious fanatic and stuff. And so he just starts rebelling and everything. He sneaks out the home. He goes to perform in his band. She has forbidden that. But he's not gonna be denied and everything. He's gonna get himself something. And he's gonna get his girl. And so, like, because of this, they realize they're gonna have to form an actual cult. So they get a bunch of like outsider kids who are like dorks and nerds and geeks and everything to join their cult. And the reason why they join that cult is not because they're crazed or anything like that, or it's because they just want to be seen and they want to be heard by their peers. Nobody pays attention to them, and if they do, it's normally just to pick on them. They are like the losers club in a way. And so it's just a bunch of nice little kids who join this thing. But then there are other people who join it, like the football dude. He joins it because he doesn't want to be left behind. And, he's all about being popular and stuff. But then, of course, you have Judith, who is like, the girl that Dylan really wants. She's all for this stuff. Like, she is all for it. And it's very shocking because Jessica Trescott, who plays Judith, she's like the high school unattainable girl. She's really hot. She's really popular. She's like that it girl. You know what I'm saying? She's all like you look at her. She's all about style and fashion and like the girl in this door type of look. But it's like the type of person a football player will want. You wouldn't suspect her to be like wanting to worship animals and drinking their blood and bathe in their blood and do it on the floor in blood, but she's all for that stuff. It's never really truly 100% explained why exactly she's all into that stuff. Um, Her main reason for this show is to get out of town and go to college because she feels like, Happy Hollow, which is a funny name for a town, just isn't for her and everything, and she deserves more. So it's kind of odd that she's into this stuff. I guess it's the thrill and the rush. Like it's one of those things. Like she's a like what's that phrase? Something in wolf's clothing. A sheep? No, a wolf in sheep's clothing or something like that. That is literally who she is. And there are a lot of people like that I wouldn't expect. Like go back to mid 2000s and stuff, like TNA wrestling or just wrestling in general. You wouldn't expect a lot of the TNA wrestlers who look the way they do to be punk rockers and stuff or to be into that kind of stuff. Like take the beautiful people. You look at them and you see like these hot women who dress in pink, who you think will play with Barbie dolls as a kid and like do cutesy wootsy type stuff. But they're actually all about tattoos and piercings and they're into like rock and roll music and that edge type lifestyle. It's very shocking, and that is who Judith is. And a lot more female wrestlers nowadays in WWE are like that as well. Like Shotzi and everything. Short C. How do you even say that green haired lady's name? Like she's like that and stuff. And so she comes from a very like, well-mannered family. Her grandfather's the sheriff. Her mom works somewhere. And they're Christian people and stuff like that. Not too religious. But they're well-mannered type people who live in a very fancy, nice house. Except for the grandfather. He kind of lives in a slop type house. But like the daughter did pretty good for herself. And so this woman played this role well, man. Like you really feel like she's into worshiping the devil and stuff. Like in the first episode when the band performed and she's all in the Dylan, she wanted him to sacrifice a cat. I'm not even joking. Like, and a couple of episodes later, he's all like she doesn't know he's a fake. That's the thing. And he's all like, would you really have me kill that cat? And she's all like, baby, of course I would. And she does it with the biggest smile on her face. And it's just like, it's so shocking and stuff. And so she's the one who's really, really like building this cult thing up more than he is. Because she knows all the rules because she has a book on it. And so like during one like prom, I think it was, her and her cult, along with him and everything, are down in like the basement and they make a pentagram on the ground. And she tells him it is time for me and you to do it on the pentagram as everybody watches with their torches. And he's kind of like, what? But he does it anyway until it's broken up by the sheriff, her grandfather. And so this is how more of the parents are starting to realize what's going on. Not only that, but Dylan like staged this one thing where everybody was supposed to start like I think drinking blood, but it wasn't really blood. And this one girl like freaked out and told her mom, which alerted the sheriff and alerted more of the other parents and stuff like that. And so when she realizes Dylan is a fake and stuff like that, and he only did it to get in her pants, she's pretty pissed. And she's gonna punish him by what the book says. You have to like die and be reborn. And so they put him in a coffin, and her and the cult literally buries him in the ground alive. And I'm like, holy crap, how is he gonna survive that? But then in the next episode, within like a couple of seconds, his friend Spud and this one girl, Ingrid, rescue him and everything. Apparently, Ingrid, she's part of the cult as well, and she tells them that like he was only supposed to be in there for a couple of hours, but she really does believe Judith and this one football player was gonna leave him in there to die. And so then Judith goes completely bananas in the head when she finds out the girl who ratted her out, she was gonna have the cult stab the crap out of her with a knife. But every member of the cult's like, yo man, I ain't doing this crap. Like, this is going too far. And she's like, well, screw it, I'm gonna do it myself. And you really think she's gonna do it? And she's inches away from doing it until her mom comes down in the basement, finds her, grabs her by the wrist, and drags her out as she's screaming mommy and everything. Now, one problem I have with all of this is that she's never punished. She actually gets away with her wanting to like kill and bury people and stuff like that by the parents not pressing charges, and or the girl that she was going to stab and everything. The parents did not press charges, and they just want her to move away and live with her father in Los Angeles. This is the sign she's been wanting all her life. Now she gets to move out of Happy Hollows. She gets to go to LA, be around the elites, and go to college. She's never punished for this. And that's kind of what I hate about the writing, is that like the bad people on the show, some of them are punished and some of them are not. But it just, she gets away with this scot clean, and I don't like that. Kenzo Curtis, I believe that's how you say his name, plays Spud. He is the drummer of the band, and not much is known about him, and I literally mean like nothing. Like, they really should have fleshed his character out, but you know, he's black, so you know Hollywood's not gonna do that no more because they're going back to their old ways now. And so like, when I literally say there's nothing about him, you don't know, like you don't know nothing about him. You do know he's a little smart because he knows something that happened in Britain, but that's about it. Now, the one boy who was kidnapped and murdered, his name is Ryan. And apparently Spud has some type of connection to him, but we don't know exactly what the heck that is. But the way Spud was acting about Ryan's death, it made it seem like they're more than just friends. He might be secretly gay. I don't know. It's kind of implied because of that whole Ryan connection. Now, Ryan was straight that we know of, and he was gonna make out with, I think her name was Faith, until the people came in and kidnapped him. And then he died from like an asthma attack. But it's just like, all the thing we know about Spud is that for whatever reason his parents aren't there, and he's staying by himself for now until the parents come back. Him and Ryan used to hang out a lot, but Ryan was a jock and a football player, and Spud is an outcast. Those two normally would not hang out. So it's kind of weird that they did. But like I said before, the whole him looking really sad and depressed about Ryan being dead, it just indicated that they were more than just friends, or he had a crush on him that was one-sided or something. If they get a second season, they might explain this, they might not. Also, when Ingrid was talking to him, because Ingrid, she's the short little white girl, and she always hangs around black dudes. And I think she put her hand on him, on his knee or something like that, when consoling him, and he didn't flinch or nothing. And he also didn't necessarily like it. It was just kind of like there. So it made me wonder, you know what I'm saying? But he is Dylan and Judy's like best friend and stuff. And no matter how much like pissed he is at Dylan, they always have his back. And he tries to rescue Dylan when Tracy tries to have him lynched by a mob and everything. The show is crazy. Molly Shapiro, she plays Ingrid. She's actually the sister of Abigail Shapiro, the one who played Dorothy in Doom Patrol. And she's kind of just there in the show. She's kind of like a recurring character. She's nice. She's part of the cult. She's the one who rescues like Dylan and stuff. She's kind of just there. She's one of the more reasonable ones, and who doesn't want, like, she's the first one to just say she doesn't want to be part of the cult no more. And because she starts to see it's going a little bit crazy, and Judith is getting a little bit more crazier. And but the whole reason why they all joined is because they wanted to be seen. Also, I had no idea her and her sister are in a band together. Like, I had no idea. Like, I know they do a little acting here and there, but I had no idea they was in a band. I've never heard their stuff. But boy, they can pose. Like, they're always posting these modeling type pictures on Instagram. They can really like strike a pose. Elijah Richardson, he plays Cliff. He's a football player. His dad is the coach, and he's always trying to like impress his dad, which he feels like sometimes he doesn't have his respect. He's hurt the most by Ryan dying because they were both on the football team. He was into Judith until Judith left him for like, Dylan and stuff. But he's the one who's always pushing Dylan. He's a bully and stuff like that. But he also doesn't want to get left out. So when the band starts to become popular and they don't want him to join, he's upset and tries to crash their party and stuff. Pretty much, he also will help fuel that of Judith. If Judith wants to do something crazy with like blood, he's always pushing people to like to do it and stuff. And he has his pocket knife. And so like to impress Judith and everything, he tricks Dylan and then they bury him alive and they was gonna leave him there. And then like, that one girl who ratted Judith out, it was his knife that she wanted to use to like stab him. But then later on, even he realized it went too far. Now, the name should sound familiar. He is supposed to play Patriot in the MCU. He was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier in 3 episodes. So far, he has not been cast in Captain America Brave New World. Probably because he was filming this show, and also probably because of a alleged incident that happened in Disney World with his family. He might still be in the MCU, might not because of this incident. I don't know. Because it's like, it's funny in the MCU, if a black person does something wrong, they completely scrap them in the MCU. If a white person does something wrong, they keep them and everything. No matter what the allegation is. Like Jeremy Renner, he had an allegation against him. We all know the actor who played Thanos used to beat his wife many decades ago, and he got to play Thanos, and just like other people and stuff. And it's just kind of weird. But Jonathan Majors gets completely canned, and now this actor might, I don't know, what I'm saying? But he's supposed to be in Young Avengers, now called Champions. But he has not been confirmed yet. Only 3 members have been confirmed, and he's supposed to play Patriot. So, and the fact that he's not in Captain America is kind of weird, especially when his grandfather character is in the movie and everything. I don't know what's going on, but I can say after now seeing his performance in this, he can act, so that's a good thing. Sierra Azula, she plays Judy, or no, Jordy. And so Jordy, so Sierra, I have seen this actress in a couple of stuff. She was in R.L. Stein's Fear Street, the second movie. She was the mean girl at camp who, with the short hair. Let's see, I think she was also in Cruel Summer season 1, which is the best season. She was like the main girl and stuff. I think that's her. I'm not sure. Like, she can actually sing really well. She's the lead singer in the band. She is the tough one of the group. She is the one who's actually golf in real life, where Dylan is just a poser. She actually lives that lifestyle. Um, People at school are generally just scared of her because she's so tough. All she has to do is like jump at somebody and they'll flinch. And she's the one who reveals to like the cult that it's all fake and that they faked the entire thing, and they hired their other friends to be part of the cult just to impress like Judith for that of Dylan and stuff. Because the thing about her is that she just really wants to be in a band and she doesn't want to deceive people. Whereas Spud doesn't like it as well, but he will help Dylan out. She is the one who's like, screw it, I will crash your parade and everything. And in the first episode, it's kind of indicated she might be into Dylan and everything. Like, you know, and that's why she doesn't like him with Judith. But but then she doesn't show no more feelings towards him afterwards. And when Judith kind of confronted her in a mean kind of way, talking about, oh, you're jealous because I took your guys, and she says, I'm not into you and I'm not into him like that. So that made me think, okay, so she's not into him. But then it turns out she is in fact friends with Faith back in the day, and but no longer. And so it does make me wonder, what kind of friends were they? You know what I'm saying? But so far it's just like friends. And so, like, you know, she nearly gets blackmailed because of like this whole kidnapping thing. See, the band, when they started their whole metal band thing to impress Judith and whatever, and the whole Satanism type thing, it started to draw concerns from that of the parents. They believe all the crazy stuff that was happening in Happy Hollow was the result of this band. So it made all the parents fear and made them turn into that of a mob to turn against 3 teenagers and stuff. Stuff like that happens, man. It only takes one spark to start an outrage and to grow like a mob. I mean, look at like the anti-woke mob fandom menace on YouTube. You know, they're always screaming the word woke and trying to turn like white people against diversity, and it's working extremely well. All it takes is one spark, one group to start a movement, and then they have a bunch of like morons like joining their cause and stuff. And that is what all this fear mongering did in these, like, you know, the whole like Satanism back in the 80s and stuff. And so like so a lot of people just generally hate their band. They feel like this band unleash some type of demonic demon devil like thing into the real world, and it's affecting the parents, and it's causing all this bad stuff to happen, like with that of the kidnapping of Faith and Ryan. Nikki Hahn, she plays Faith. I've seen her in a couple of stuff, but I literally have no idea who she is, but I've seen her in a couple of stuff. She is this really sweet, nice girl whose mom is a super religious zealot and everything. And so this is the events that kicked off like the first episode that made people think that there was this Satan type cult that was going around kidnapping and killing people, that tied into that of the band. See, in the flashback, it's revealed she was dating this guy, and this guy lied to her, saying that they slept together. So it went all around the school. She was really upset, and this one guy named Ryan consoled her and befriended her. And then at some point in time, they was about to do it on the bed, until all of a sudden these 2 men burst through the door wearing masks, dove masks, and kidnapped both of them. Later on, towards the end of the episode, she found her way back home, all dirty and stuff, and Ryan was found dead with his heart ripped out. People thought this was the work of a Satan type cult. And so her mom started to lobby like a bunch of the townspeople parents into talking about, oh, this is the devil worshiping type stuff, and like, like this is a result of that band and all this other stuff. And so this was all the result of them. But then when you see the flashback episode, you see how all this crap came to be, and it's very shocking. It's a twist that you really don't see coming. Now, it was revealed also she was friends with Jordy back in the day, but her mom forbidden it. And I think that's around the time something happened to Jordy. I forget what. But then it caused her to go golf, I think, or something like that. Or maybe her mom just didn't like that golf lifestyle. And so, like, her and Jordy are at ends in this season because, like, they want to be friends again, but the mom, Tracy, is still interfering. But it turns out that, like, all of this is because of her mom, Tracy. And so Faith is trying to, work to get the real truth out and stuff like that. Anna Camp plays that of Tracy. Tracy is really the true villain of the show, and Anna Camp, my God, played her to perfection. She's best known for being in the Pitch Perfect movies. And boy, has she come a long way. She's like in her 40s, and she looks like she's in her 30s, if not her like late 20s. And she plays the very strict, super ultra conservative, like religious fanatic person to a T. She is a huge hypocrite, and all of this is really because of her. See, the whole Dylan in the band thing, that's its own separate thing of him starting his little cult. But she is the one who played into the fear-mongering and caused like a mob. See, it's revealed in a flashback that her parents hired a private investigator, or no, actually not a private investigator, hired a reverend. That's what he's known as, the reverend. I forget his real name on the show, but they just call him the reverend. To go find her. Basically, this was back in the 60s. And Tracy left her house at a very young age to join like these hippies and everything. Getting high and dancing, summer of love type stuff, Oh, her father's played by, I think his name is Jeffrey Combs, the Reanimator. So that's kind of cool that he had a cameo in this. So the Reverend found her, and what this Reverend does is he deprograms people. He kidnapped her, locked her in a room, and tied her to like a chair at first, but then released her, constantly giving her soda and snacks, sugary snacks that kind of make you like sluggish and hyped up and stuff like that. And he will always preach the word to her and counsel her about what she's doing is wrong, and she's going against God by like drinking, doing drugs, and having sex and all this other stuff. And he convinced her that there's a devil inside you and everything. We have to get it out. And she literally believed it. Now, at one point in time, she thought she saw the devil. I'll get into more about that later. That's the C plot and everything. And so she felt like that conversion therapy worked for her. So why can't it work for her daughter? Why does she want her daughter to be reprogrammed or whatever? Because she found birth control pills in her daughter's hiding spot. Her daughter has a Bible, and carved inside the Bible is like a little compartment that she has all her like stuff that she likes to hide. And one thing her mom found was birth control pills. But it turns out she's not taking birth control pills because she's having sex, because she's a virgin. She's taking birth control pills because she has irregular cramping or something like that during her girly time of the month. Her feminine time of the month. I'm not even sure you can say that word no more on YouTube. There's a lot of things you just can't say on YouTube no more. Do you see birth control pill is not always for like because you're doing it. It's for other stuff. But her mom, being uneducated and jumping to conclusions, assumed that. So she figured, hey, I need to get my daughter saved the way I was saved. So she hires the Reverend, and he hires these two men to break into the home and kidnap her. But they had to take Ryan as well because Ryan saw everything. While they was in the back of the truck, they grabbed Ryan and they was going to do something with, I think, let him go or something like that. But he had an asthma attack and he died from it. And they had no idea he needed an inhaler. So this screwed up the Reverend's plans. Um, And so the Reverend had the men stage it to look like it was some type of satanic cult type thing that killed Ryan. And all they need was a smoking gun. They needed somebody to pin this on. In comes Dylan creating his cult. And so they just decided, hey, let's pin it on him. So they ripped out Ryan's heart. They planted it somewhere. They threw the body in a ditch that made the town people think this was part of like some type of Satan worshiping cult. And so like the Reverend, along with that of Tracy, kept trying to pin it on Dylan and the teens and stuff. So Tracy had Faith lie to Jordy and everything and tried to plant evidence on Jordy because, like I said before, Faith was trying to figure out what the heck had happened, and her mom was constantly getting into it, and she knew her mom was lying about something. There was a fake cop that came to investigate, and when something led her to this auto body shop, she found that fake cop. And so she alerted the police and this and that. And so they, tried. Well, one of the dudes that was part of the kidnapping, he couldn't take it no more. He came to her in the middle of the night, tried to confess. The mom showed up. He tried to strangle the mom because he said he was going to the cops. And the mom like, no, you're not. So he started choking her. So Faith hit him as hard as she could in the head and he bled. The Reverend came to clean everything up. And Faith assumed she killed this man, but he survived and made his way on the middle of the road where the sheriff found him and he went to a hospital. But, they assumed that Faith killed somebody and they all like, look, we have to protect you, blah, blah, blah. You're going to plant evidence on Jordy with the inhaler and all this other stuff. And the mom was behind all this crap, all because of fear of her daughter having sex. But what she did not expect was the Reverend to take things further than what he did. Coming in with the gun, threatening to shoot her daughter and all this other stuff because Faith and Jordy was working together to take down the Reverend and also that of Tracy. But Tracy and the Reverend had no idea. So Faith made her way back to the Reverend's place, talking about, I need to be cleansed and all this other stuff, but he don't buy it. So he straps her down and everything, and she plants the evidence in a storm, not storm, but the vent. But she can't get out the room. And the Reverend literally tells her, hey, look, man, I've been in jail before for kidnapping people and trying to deprogram them, and I'm not going back again. And I've already killed one of my accomplices and everything because he was freaking out and about to go to the cops and all this other crap. So he's all like, look, if your daughter doesn't do what she needs to do, I will kill her. And so this causes Tracy to, oh Lord, I can't even believe this. But anyway, needless to say, with the whole Faith Reverend thing is that Jordy went to the cops and told him where the inhaler was. He went to that dude's place. The dude was finna shoot the cop until he gets distracted. And the sheriff ends up shooting him in the shoulder and he's taken away. But Tracy, on the other hand, she needs to blame this whole demonic thing on somebody while also looking like a hero and stuff like that. She plans on blaming that of Dylan and his whole family. And she does it when she finds out the C plot of the show. The C plot kind of bops around in the show. It's kind of there. You have to notice it and everything. Basically, it's like I said in the first episode. The sky turned red. There was an earthquake. And then that of Dylan's mom floated in the air and went back on the table. Now, she is played by Julie Boland, who's best known for Modern Family, playing Linda. Nolan North, who is a voice actor who voiced Deadpool and Green Lantern and other people, also Superboy, he was also on Pretty Little Liars. So they're your typical, religious family, stuff like that. And Linda has been afraid that her son might be worshiping the devil. And so she forbids him from being in the metal band, this and that and other stuff. She starts to see the devil everywhere she goes. Now, throughout the series, a lot of the parents have these little red-brown spots all over their hands and bodies and stuff. This is like a mark that they're under like possession or whatever, or about to be. And so none of the kids have it, it's only the parents. And so like Linda is just constantly freaking out, feeling like she's failing as a parent, and that her son has, people are accusing her son of bringing something into the world. When it actually wasn't him, she gives a confession to her husband and the pastor, a different pastor from that of the Reverend. Her and her husband been trying to make a baby for so many years, but they was unable to. And so she prayed to God. When God didn't answer her prayers, she went to the devil. And she prayed to him to give her a child. Next thing you know, Dylan was born and it's their miracle baby. But she feels like the only reason why he's there is because she prayed to the devil. And so she feels that she's the one who unleashed all this demonic stuff that's been happening in the city. You constantly seeing her blacking and out and turning evil, talking in a demonic voice. She chopped the tip part of a woman's ear off and everything. And something freaky is going on with her. And some of the other people in town are seeing hallucinations. She sees the same devil that Tracy saw when Tracy was a teenager. Then all of a sudden, they rip things off from The Exorcist. All of a sudden, Linda is under demonic possession. This freaks out Dylan and the father, and they need help. Tracy gets wind of this and decides, you know what, if the pastor's not going to perform an exorcism, I am. I'm going to do it in front of everybody in town. And so this is Tracy's way of pinning everything on their family. And so, like, while Linda's under demonic possession, she wants Dylan to be in the balcony area, the rafters or whatever, for his cue. He has no idea what that means. Later on, Jody and Spud realize that the parents are starting to see hallucinations. Even the sheriff is starting to see them and stuff like that. And so, like, they know Dylan is in trouble, and when they find out Tracy's going to perform an exorcism after Tracy staged this whole kidnapping and tried to pin the cult, the whole Satan thing all on them. So they go to the church and they tell Dylan. And literally, while Linda is going in and out of the red room and everything, of this whole demonic possession and seeing demonic like Dylan and everything, Tracy's all like, all of this is because of like Linda, but more importantly, all of this is because of her demon Satan baby like Dylan and everything. And Dylan and his friends all like, you people are just like nuts. You're playing into fear and everything. Tracy is tricking all of y'all because she had her own daughter kidnapped and all this other crap. Well, the town people don't believe them and they start to form a mob on the teenagers, but then something happens where like a candle or something gets knocked over and the church literally catches on fire. The people run out. Jordy like rescues Tracy and everything. But right before she does that, as Linda's coming out of it, Linda is no longer possessed. So the townspeople, as Tracy's being arrested and everything, are all like, no, you're not going to arrest her. She's a hero. she freed Linda from demonic possession and everything. But then Tracy's all like, no, let them take me. So now Tracy's acting kind of like a martyr, acting like some type of messiah and everything. That, you know, she's holier than earth and everything. And the townspeople believe it. So Tracy kind of got what she wanted. She pinned it on Dylan's family. The people are worshiping her as a hero and everything, and all this other crap. Now, Bruce Campbell, yes, is in this show. He plays the sheriff and everything, and he is the grandfather of that of Judith. Now, he's listed as a special guest star, although he's in every episode like a main character. I wonder, could it be this reason? Now, main characters get paid, you know, the good money, and recurring characters get paid a bit less. And guest stars, I just found out from watching a podcast on Pretty Little Liars, the actress on there who played Jenna Marshall, she said that she was a guest star on Pretty Little Liars. And the only reason why she did that and wasn't a series regular is because a guest star gets paid more money. So I'm guessing if you're a special guest star, you get paid even more. And so, like, he is the sheriff in town, and all these people have lost faith in him to control this situation of this whole, like, satanic cult and everything like that. And he has no idea about, like, cults or Satanism, so he starts to bone up on it by reading books about it, and he's trying his best to figure out everything that's going on, getting one lead from another, only to turn out to be a bogus lead in this and that. When he finds Ryan's heart, he knows that he assumes that this is type of like a cult. But really, like I said before, this is all because of the Reverend and that of Tracy. And so, like, he's just going from one clue to another and about to arrest Jordy and everything. He couldn't find the inhaler, but even he's hallucinating and he's having the spots on him as well. And so he's really upset at his granddaughter for buying into all this crap and all this other stuff. But is this all real? Is the whole Satan thing real? Was it all in their head? Was it just fear and everything? The show does do a pretty good job of exposing a lot of the people from back in the day of how they acted. All of these like religious zealots and everything who are hypocrites, like Tracy. Tracy is the biggest hypocrite of them all, but acts like she's holier than earth. She commits more sin than anybody else in this show, but she thinks she's above all that stuff because she's super religious. And so, like, I don't know if like the devil thing is real in the show. This is the C plot that I said that felt like it could have been fleshed out more. The creator just wanted to be like, you know, it's up to you to determine if it's real or not. Do you believe that there really was a devil that took hold of Tracy as a teenager, took hold of Linda in her adult years, and if Dylan's really the result of like praying to the devil and everything? The red spots on people's skin, the red skies, the earthquakes, was that all real, or was it really just a manifestation of fear itself? People believing into things that really is not true. Look what's going on with politics now. The LGBT community is getting blamed for absolutely no reason. Drag queens and gay people and transsexuals and stuff like that, they're getting blamed for, like, you know, assaulting young children and everything, when in actuality they're not doing it. It's actually like conservative religious people who are actually committing these crimes, and people are posting about it online and stuff. But instead they try to deflect that and put it on to the LGBT community because they know people don't like the LGBT community and stuff. And so because of that, they have now brainwashed tons of people into believing that. It's going so far that Walmart no longer will like celebrate celebrate Pride Month, Black History Month, Latino Month, Women's Month, all this other stuff, because now people are protesting against that and Walmart has become scared. These people who are initiating a lie has tricked the minds of regular people because people are stupid. So the show plays on that by making the audience believe, hey, was this demonic stuff really real in the show or was it not? I would like for it to be real, because if not, then it's kind of pointless showing the imagery of it all. They could have explained it some other kind of way. You know what I'm saying? But and it's kind of what kind of kept people hooked in this show was there a supernatural element in the show, or was it just all in their heads? You know what I'm saying? But to trick the audience, that's just wrong, but also genius at the same time. But like I said, it will really determine if the show gets renewed or not. Because honestly, I felt like the C plot could have been left out of the show, and everything that has to do with A and B was worked very, very well. You know, you had this hypocrite who staged a kidnapping and everything, resulted in one person's death, all because of fear. And with that fear, she turned that fear and manifested on the entire like city and everything. But then, like I said before, if they get a second season, where the heck are they gonna go from this? Tracy's now locked up in prison along with the Reverend and everything. Judith is now out of town living with her father. Everybody, all the teenagers at school know that the cult is fake, but some of them still believe it. And the people in town really do believe that Linda was possessed and Dylan's a demon baby, and that these three teenagers unleashed the devil onto the world. So they will have to try to clear their names in the second season, but that will make for a very lackluster show. You know what I'm saying? They just over here trying to say, hey, it's not us and we're good and we're innocent, because the people are still going to be trying to lynch them and everything. So they really do need to make this whole devil thing real in the show, because that would make it a whole lot more intriguing in my opinion. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.